It's Sunday, and that means it's time for my mental health vlog, and it's also October 1st, so happy Halloween month. I've already started my Halloween attire. The house got finished decorated today. I'm only doing the outside this year. We're still trying to figure stuff out inside, and I don't want to, no. I decorated outside this year, and I didn't go super overboard. I just don't have the budget to go super overboard this year, so I used what I had, and I think it turned out pretty well. I was really excited about being able to decorate the second story, but the area of the roof that I was going to need to stand on, it's really steep, and it's really short, and I didn't feel comfortable trying to work up there. So last thing I needed was to, have a broken bone or concussion or something stupid like that. Tomorrow is the 4-year anniversary of when my relationship ended and I decided to take my own life. And I was very lucky to be given a second chance, but every year when this time comes around, I stop and reflect on how far I've come since I made the decision to swallow those 2 bottles of pills. That was not a smart decision. I'm always very grateful for where I am, but it is hard to think back on what was going on around that time. To be so insecure and so depressed and so codependent that I didn't feel like I could go on my own. I didn't think I had any of the strength that I would need to survive on my own. And surviving on my own was not easy. I really did feel like I was starting over from scratch. And had it not been for the love and compassion of the friends that I had made, I'm not sure where I would be now. I was very lucky to have, after the suicide attempt, for those of you that don't know, I was transferred from the emergency room to a mental facility where I was there for a solid week, if not more. I don't remember how long I was there, which is relatively standard after a failed suicide attempt. The day I was discharged, I was picked up by my ex. I was taken to the house to grab anything that I would need. I was allowed to see my son for a very short period of time, and then I had to leave to go find somewhere to live. And luckily I had some friends that had a couch that had the ability to put me up. Not only just me as a person, but I also work from home, so I had to take up space from the office too, and friends that I had that were willing to do that. Among all of the other things that I was trying to navigate through, I also discovered that I was a sex addict, which was largely in part of most of the issues that I was having in my relationship, in my ex, in my failed marriage. And I decided with my therapist that I cannot continue existing, living like I am now, being who I am now. I've got to fix something. And I joined SAA, Sex Addicts Anonymous. I went to a few meetings and quickly discovered that I had found my people. It still baffles me that when I say sex addict, people think deviant, or Sex Addicts Anonymous, people think this meeting with people in trench coats that are missing a hand, how it's underneath the trench coat, which I will admit, when I first my first meeting, it was an LGBTQ plus meeting, which is what I looked for. Like I wanted a group of people who I could relate to, and but at the same time, in the back of my mind, I'm like, is this just going to be some giant circle jerk? You know what to expect. I never would have expected the family that I have found through SAA. I never would have expected to hear my story coming out of other people's mouths. I never would have expected that I really am a sex addict. And I've gone through the gambit with my sex addiction once I became aware of it. The biggest chunk of that was sexual anorexia, which happened right around the time that I finally met someone new. And when Chris and I first decided to be intimate, you know, I had rules I had to follow that I had set for myself. That's how SAA works. You set rules for yourself and you follow them with the help of your sponsor. And our first time being intimate was horrible. He will tell you, this is not a secret. It was not great. There was too much pressure. There was too much awkward. There was too much buildup. It was horrible. And it was about that moment that I realized I really had feelings for him, more than just lust. It was something much different. And that was what triggered the sexual anorexia, was it took everything and shut down. Because sex, in my mind, you know, sex is bad. Sex ruins relationships, therefore I cannot have sex. I cannot be sexual. I just have to be. And that took a lot of work to get through. That took therapy, that took patience, that took techniques and tools that I had to try. I had to commit to trying to navigate my way through sexual anorexia. I'm through it. I really wish I knew. There are a couple of techniques I feel really worked. Scheduled intimacy. I know it sounds medical, but it helps. If you know that, let's say, Sunday evenings are your intimate time, then you have the opportunity to prepare and to plan and to get into that mindset, so that when the time comes, you know you have more time. It's not just like, I'm just not feeling it. No, I have a headache, you know, that kind of stuff. You communicate, you know. I have tried really hard to get into the mood. I know tonight is our special night. We can try, but I just don't know if it's going to go all the way. And that's okay, because that kind of conversation is what you have to have when you're dealing with sexual anorexia, or any kind of, you know what, communication as a whole. Any relationship needs communication as a whole. There are far too many relationships that don't do well because this person's not saying what they need. This person's not saying what they're feeling because they're so afraid of what this person's going to think of them. In a real relationship, whatever someone says really shouldn't change how the other person thinks about them. And that's hard to say too, because my fiance and I have been together for over 3 years, and it is ridiculous that how often and the fact that I still say, I didn't know a relationship could be like this, because he is supportive, encouraging, always pushing me to be better. He holds me accountable, and he teaches me things, and we're not this, you know, we're not identical, so we have things to learn from each other, and vice versa. By pushing him, I push me, and we really do bring out the best in each other. And I just didn't know relationships could be like this. And for the first time, I have found me. I know who Jordan really, really is. And with or without my fiance, it doesn't change. I still am who I am. But I love who I am, with and having him be part of that as well. And that's what a real relationship should be like. where you have found yourself, you have loved yourself, you know who you are. And that is not dependent on somebody else, but it is complemented by somebody else. And I found that. And it took work. It takes work. No matter how perfect two people are for each other, it takes work. It takes communication, and communication is so fucking important. Even if you don't like what the other person has to say, or you know that they're not going to like what you have to say it. Hiding anything is an exercise in futility. It really is, and it's just self-serving. So I now live a life of complete and open honesty. I try really hard not to even tell the white lies if I can avoid it. I try and successful and being upfront and open and not having any secrets. One of my favorite feelings that I had with my fiance early on, and it still baffles me to this day, when I hand him my phone or I leave him my phone to look up something or whatever, and I'm not worried about what if I get a text from someone, what tabs do I have open, shit, did I download something, did I clear certain history? I don't worry about that. I don't have to worry about that. One, I'm not doing any of that shit. If I am doing any of that shit, which is, some of it's approved, some of it's not, follow my rules. He fully knows everything. We are a very sex positive couple, and that's not for everybody, and I get that. But I never thought a relationship could be like this. 4 years ago, my biggest fear was losing my son. And I acknowledge that I have made his life harder. It is not all my fault. But I have contributed to making my son's life harder. And I've shared this with my therapist. That's one of those things I don't think I'll ever be able to really forgive myself on. So I will always be a little more lenient on him than I should be. But I have him in my life. He knows I love him. I know he loves me. I don't see him every day. I don't talk to him every day. And honestly, when he's here, I don't see him or talk to him that much either, because he's in that preteen hide in my room, play in my laptop phase. But I still have my son. And I have a great relationship with my son. I hope that continues. My ex made the comment that we all become some level the things about our parents we don't like. Another big fear I've had, because I have zero interest in becoming anything like my father. What sucks is I am so fucking much like my father. But the fact that I acknowledge the negative traits that I don't want to carry on and am willing to put in the work and do the work for it proves to me that I'm not going to be like my father. I'm not giving up. He has. He has no desire to be better. I want to be a better version tomorrow of myself than I am today. These are all things that I hold on to and think about daily. But on the anniversary of a life-changing moment, it's really good to sit back and reflect on just how far you've come, just how much you've overcome, and all the people that helped you along the way. I have friends I don't talk to as much anymore, but I love them, and I recognize how important they were at that time in my life. Everything happens for a reason, and people are in your life when you need them. So tomorrow is always one of those days that just kind of like sticks out in my mind. And I remember making my very first vlog in my friend's apartment at their dining room table after I was out of the hospital. And I have, with the exception of 3 or 4 Sundays, I have made one every week. And I have gone back multiple times and looked back on them. I don't know how long I'm going to continue to do this. But just about the time I decide I'm done with it, something happens that reminds me I'm not. So I'll continue to do my vlogs for a while, as long as they make sense and I find benefit from them, and I still do. I hope someone out there does too. I have a meeting with my lawyer in the morning. We are very close to finalizing the divorce, and I will be very excited when that is done. So, I should have more information on that next week. But I am going to go downstairs, see if I can convince my fiance to watch a scary movie because it's spooky season, and chill for the rest of the night. I hope you all had a great week. I hope you all have fun decorations planned for Halloween month. It is the most wonderful time of the year. I love it more than Christmas. I can't help it. I hope you're all doing well. Check on your friends. Make sure they're doing okay. Heard from someone today I haven't talked to in a while, and we had a very long phone conversation. It was actually really nice. Even though I hate talking on the phone, it was still really nice to catch up. Check on your family. Make sure they're doing okay. My sister is doing great. She has upgraded to a cane, and she is walking around. She's not overdoing it, but she's walking around her room with a cane. So they gave her a weapon. She and Mama and my aunt are still dealing with some of the stress from my father and his medical issues, but I think they're doing okay. Check on yourself. Take the time to reflect. Pick a moment in your life that you feel is life-changing, and look and see how far you've come, how much you've changed, what you've changed, and why you've changed. It's really great. It's really gratifying. So, 4 years later, here I am. So happy to, still every day happy to have my second chance. Bye guys, I will see you next week.